Hey folks, Matt from artoftheimage.com. Got some great viewer feedback from Steven Soukup. Hope I said that right, Steven. Steven's writing in with hands-on pros and cons, essentially a mini review after shooting the Sony a6300. So Steven's had his hands on the a6300, shot with it, and he's got some very great feedback, some good feedback here after shooting it. He says, I got to use the new a6300 at this week's Sony training event at Sammy's Camera in West Los Angeles on Saturday, February 27th, 2016. And he's got some pros listed here, 4 of them. He's got the AF speed is lightning fast. Yes, faster than my A6K, so it's a Sony a6000. Number 2, silent shutter mode. And he says, finally, exclamation point. 3, you can bracket with a timer delay on. Didn't have that before. And 4, they finally added direct AF point selection on the D-pad now. No more menu hunting 2 or 3 steps. As long as you are in flexible spot AF mode, you can directly use the D-pad to select your point. This is a big plus for many. So those are some really great features. For me, I guess actually all of those are really good. The bracketing, not as big a deal for me, but the other 3, the AF point selection, the lightning fast AF speed, and the silent shutter mode are all big pluses for me that I really like to hear. And then Steven says the cons. 1 is the initial high price, price. And yeah, what's a high price though? $1,000 for a really, really good, probably best in class APS-C body that's small, light, and shoots killer 4K? That's debatable. It is a high initial price versus the a6000, but I think we can expect that it's still certainly a reasonable price, I think, at $1,000. Sure, I would prefer it came in at $600 or $700 too. Still no touchscreen. That was his number 2. The Sony rep I asked why still no touchscreen. He said it's not a matter of the extra cost. He said because Canon and Nikon don't do it in their cams, especially in their full frame cams, and because Sony doesn't see a big outcry for it. Yes, we want it, but they don't see it in large mass consumer requests, so they won't do it until Canon Nikon does it in theirs. He said Sony likes to follow the big 2 in some things to let them test the waters of the market first. Good point. I really want that. I want the touch screen and I want a fully articulated screen, not a partially articulated screen. So I guess we just have to keep screaming about it so that Sony hears us. So folks, if you're like me and you want a touch screen, an articulated screen, a fully articulated screen, let your voice be heard. Tell Sony, right? Everybody should write Sony an email right now. Might help. And 3, still no IBIS, but I knew they couldn't do it in this smaller, compact body without adding a lot of cost and a mini A7 sized all new body. Maybe an A5 is down the road eventually. Says that's a question. Cheaper entry level full frame with IBIS and A6K features combined. That would be really cool. That's a great suggestion, Steven. I think a lot of people will be interested in that camera. Be interesting to see what the price point would be too. But thanks very much for your feedback, Steven. I really appreciate this little mini review after getting your hands on the camera and shooting it. So, the cons to me, they're not enough for me to outweigh buying the camera. The pros, I really like, the AF lightning fast, the silent shutter, and the ability to pick your AF points easier now with the D-pad. Like all of that. That's great. Thanks, Steven. What do you guys think? What parts of Steven's little mini review here are most important to you, are most interesting, are most, you like the best? Are they features that would push you towards the camera? And are there any cons that are really serious for you? Leave your comments below. Again, thanks to Steven for giving us that little mini review after shooting hands-on. Stay tuned. We'll be back soon here at artoftheimage.com.